This is the second time I'm going to try and cut a video on this topic. The first one I did, I just sort of read the article and it felt really lame and dry. And because I am a guy in comics, I have been published. I've seen what it's like to be in Diamond. I do live in Canada. I deal with a lot of different entities, if you will. I'm sort of the perfect guy to sort of give you the gist on this and sort of go over the article. And without reading it verbatim, let's go over the article summary. Then I'm going to dive into it here a little bit. The article summary says comic books are set to skyrocket in price next week over tariffs. And it's just more than the tariffs, but that is the major factor. So it goes on to say comic book prices may rise. I'm going to change that to will rise due to the new U.S. tariffs on Canadian printed comics starting next week. And a lot of your comics are printed here, guys, more than you think. Tariffs. The 25% tariffs could change a $4 comic to a $5 comic, affecting major publishers like Marvel and DC. Tariffs may lead to delays and impact on Free Comic Book Day, supply chains disrupted. Tariffs on China may worsen, threatening the viability of U.S. comic book retailers. So it's like this. A lot of your comics, especially from the big major publishers in the sheer volume that they print, do it through Canada. And here's a few reasons why. A, we have the facilities that can handle it. B, we have the paper, which you do not. And C, our labor is cheaper than American labor, right? Because your dollar goes so much further here. However, that is all about to change with a 25% tariff. So if you guys don't understand what this means, it means that if so let's say I'm a printer and you order a bunch of comics from me and you're in the States. When I send you that big box of comics or boxes of comics, when that arrives at customs, they're going to bill you for 25% of the market value of whatever's in there. Not only do you now have to pay extra money because you're doing business with Canada, but there are going to be delays in your shipment because now there's more work at customs to be done before the package gets delivered to you. It's just bullshit, right? So between Diamond bankruptcy, between Trump's tariffs, between young people not interested in comics and reading manga, and yes, I do say there's still a difference. Otherwise, we wouldn't separate the two. Between higher rising prices, bad storylines, disgruntled customers, collectors selling off of their assets to try and recoup some money that they spent during COVID, between the problems that CGC and grading companies been having in general with the counterfeit cards, the replacement of comics, Bentgate, whatever it is. There are 100 different problems right now that plague the comic book industry that when I said to one Tyler Carpenter long ago that I would be the last man on the ship when he didn't really predict this, but he couldn't know all this was going to happen. But Tyler's always been a guy of thinking, what is that next? What's the next move? How do we advance in this new cyberpunk dystopian world, right? Dystopian world. I always said that, you worry too much, have faith in the system, blah, blah, blah. Well, the system has crumbled. The system is gone, right? And it's not just Diamond. It's the fact that we in Canada do so much of your work. You are now going to pay extra, which means you're going to stop wanting to get books from Canada, which means you are now going to have to set up your own printers. And guess what, guys? That's going to cost you more money too, right? Your comic books aren't going to get any cheaper if they're printed there because your paper costs are higher and your labor costs you more, right? You don't get the benefit of a cheaper Canadian labor because your dollar is worth more, because your dollar is only going to be worth something in the US of A, right? If these tariffs do go through, and I do believe that they will, and I believe that they'll be around for a long time to come, is that it's every country for themselves now, right? And so Canada is going to have to sell to Canadians. US is going to have to sell to American citizens. This is affecting a already dying industry to the point where I don't know if there's any recovery. Like, this even affects Free Comic Book Day, right? They talk about Free Comic Book Day in this article, saying that Free Comic Book Day might be gone as well. They're saying that your comic books could like go up as much as $1, if not more, starting next week. Like the comic books already in transit, not much we can do about that. But comic book shops, ladies and gentlemen, just so you know, are under no obligation to charge the cover price that's on those books. They can charge whatever they want after they buy them, right? So either the cover price on the books themselves will just go up, or comic book shops will just start charging more because they are paying more. And comic book shops have a hard enough time right now selling comics that really people don't want, right? So it is going to go to a crowdfunding model. But even if it does go to a crowdfunding model, now we're talking about an oversaturated, overflooded crowdfunding model. So is it doom and gloom for the comic book industry? Am I going to sit here and tell you otherwise? I can't. Not anymore. I mean, I can't, right? I cannot dispute what is happening. I cannot dispute the facts. And even if some of these things aren't completely fact yet, I'm a smart enough guy. I can hold that crystal ball up in my hand and say, you know what? Based on the information that we have now, yeah, this is pretty much done, right? I am literally going to be the last man on the ship because this is all I know how to do. I'm going to continue to make Nyobi until financially I can't. That could be this year. That could be next year. Who knows? I got a campaign coming up on February 14th, Valentine's Day. If we're able to get it built in time. If not, then, we might be a little later, maybe the 1st of March, but I'm aiming for February 14th. And that's going to be the first real test, I think, for a Canadian creator to see what the market is like for them in the US of A now. Nyobi, 90% of our customer base is in the US of A, right? A handful in Australia, the Netherlands, Great Britain, New Zealand, even here in Canada, I don't really have as much support as I do in the United States. You guys are the guys with all the money that you guys are willing to spend money on comics. Canadians, not so much anymore, right? Even Todd McFarlane's $2.99 book, guess what, guys? That's going to go up. It's all going to go up. And tariffs on China doesn't help you guys either because lots of printing is done in China. I know Antarctic Press was printing, with China. I remember COVID and when all the books were late, that's because they were stuck out on sea waiting to get port entry. It is what it is, man. And the fact of the matter is people don't like paying $3.99 or $4.99 for a comic right now. That's like a small 24-page floppy when they can go and get, triple bang for their buck by going to manga or by buying a trade paperback. But the thing is, without the floppies, there are going to be no trade paperbacks because all a trade paperback is a collection of floppies that have proven to sell, that they can resell. Now, you can do original graphic novels, but if you're not an artist, you're paying a lot more per release because instead of doing a 20-page comic, now you're doing maybe potentially an 80-page comic. Well, if your art is costing you like $125 a page US and you're in Canada and you got to times that by 80, well, do the math. It becomes awfully expensive at that point, right? It becomes very expensive at that point. It becomes so expensive that a lot of people just don't have the money, the time, the capital, or maybe even the faith in their own product that not only can they recoup that cost without a loss, without going into debt, if they can recoup that cost, that's probably the best that they can hope. Or maybe if they're lucky, they can make a profit, but highly unlikely, right? Unless if you're the next big thing, and I mean big thing, being a small press publisher, being a solo crowdfunding publisher, however we're going to define it, is going to be not even for Canadians, for Americans too. It's going to be a tough, long road because all the international countries like us, like Mexico, and the European Union, we have now all imposed our own 25% tariffs against the United States. Okay, so now the trade war is on, and the fact of the matter is that we've been so closely knitted together that it's going to be hard to untwine all these wires, but we will. But I think the first casualty of this trade war, honestly, is comic books. Guys, let me know if you feel any differently in the comment section below. I mean, are you, I want to hear from people that still go to Comic Book Wednesday. Are you going to pay 5.99 or 6.99 for your comics now as a regular price? And I don't even mean like a double size issue or this is an annual. I mean for your standard 24-page floppy. If it's going to cost you that much, are you still in? Do you love it that much or are you out? You know what I mean? I really want to know because I think no, everyone's going to say, I'm out. Because while it says here it's not just about the money, wrong. It's always about the money, especially when money is tight, right? This was supposed to be the year where eggs got cheaper, gas got cheaper, Everything's supposed to be cheaper. We're supposed to be saved financially. And it doesn't look like that's going to be the case because we no longer are doing free trade, which America, Mexico, and Canada has benefited from for so long. Now that puts the entire comic book industry at jeopardy on top of the Diamond Chapter 11 bankruptcy news, man. I suspect that these tariffs are going to be in place for quite some time, for the next 4 years. And that may mean a halt on the comic book industry for 4 years until we get someone else in power who's going to say, yeah, we shouldn't be treating, our most valuable allies, our next door neighbors, like pieces of shit. Guys, this is LP. Stay tuned for a word from our sponsor. And just who is today's sponsor? Well, it's me, Austin. It's been me all along. That's right. I am my own sponsor. We do our own business and we do it differently here. And one of the things I would like to show to you here today is our eBay page. If you're looking for those Nyobi variants you may have missed in the past, maybe you're missing out on a few back issues. Maybe you never read Savage Sin. Maybe you're a fan of Paul Green and you never got his cover the first time around, or a John Stinsman, or a Joel Souza, or a Randy Green, or a Justin Hunt, or a Greg Bo Watson, and the list goes on. Jamie Tyndall. Here it is, guys. Chris Enoch, R.B. White. It's all here. Trade paperbacks, single issue, Savage Sin, Nyobi Origins, Nyobi Outbreak, Nyobi Birthright. It's all here for you to catch up on. And while you're doing that, why not look good while you do it? Come to the Nyobi Spring Store. The links there will be in the chat. You guys can get something for the women, something for yourself, maybe a nice coffee mug, maybe a nice hoodie. How about an awesome, sweatshirt, poster, or wall flag? I'm going to be adding new stuff to this store as well. So come and get what's here. Come and get it while it's hot. Nyobi Teespring Store. Nyobi the eBay store, and stay tuned for more news coming soon. Peace.